Hello, and welcome to the brave new world of online pedagogy. Yay, coronavirus! Hi, it's Brad. This is how we're going to be trying to do this class. What I thought I would do is prepare ahead of time some videos showing some of the things that I wanted to show you that I think are, possibly related to projects you might be doing, and put them online kind of ahead of the class meeting time for you. And then on Tuesdays at 6:10 p.m., when we would normally have our seminar, we'll schedule one of those Zoom meetings where we can, ask questions, discuss things, and, take a look at some other features if you'd like. But anyhow, I'll get these up ahead of time. You can take a look and see how it goes. I should warn you, these are going to be done very quick and dirty, and they're going to be kind of random. I'm not going to do a huge amount of editing. If I get really twisted in some space, I may stop and, restart the recording or something. But it'll be just kind of like class. I'll just do it as it goes, and we'll see how it comes out. Anyhow, what I want to do this week is cover scene changing, because I know a number of you are interested in that. And also I want to show you how to do like a fade out of audio. That might actually be a separate video. We'll see how we're doing. I've got some other things I'm going to show too of these videos. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. It turns out it's actually kind of easy to do, but we're going to want to do it properly. So the first thing we want to do is create a new Unity project. Okay. And let's make sure we're going to the right directory. So we want to go to week 9 here. Yeah. Select that folder. Okay. And we'll call this project, we'll call this week 9 simple scene change. Okay. There we go. So get it started up here, and we're just going to add a few things, and life will be good, I hope. Yeah, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And there it is. Let's go ahead and add a few things that we're going to want to use, okay? First thing, let's add a plane so that we can kind of see where we are and everything like that, okay? Second thing we want to do is let's add an empty game object that we're going to call the observer so we can move around. Observer. Oops. Get rid of that nonsense there. Hope you can see where my cursor is going. This is all stuff we've done before too, by the way, so it's not anything, special. I just thought it might be good to go over it again. Let's put the main camera as a child of the observer, and let's also reset it so that it's all 0, 0, 0 relative to the observer. So they're kind of inhabiting the same space. Let's move the observer maybe up by 1 meter and back by -5 meters. So there we go. We can see everything. All right. And we're going to be wanting to change scenes here. Okay. Before we do that, let's make it so we can move the observer around. And we'll just do that by adding the observer move script that we have created in past classes. Bring it down here into my assets. Put it, it's probably compiling. Put it up on the observer. Right, and let's give it a speed of 3 and a rotation speed of 1. Let's just make sure we're working. I'm going to hit this, and let's go into the game, and yeah, we can move back and forth. We can rotate around, up and down. Yep, life is good. Okay. Now let's add a little we'll call it a little doorway. It'll be our portal. Let's create another game object, be a cube. Okay, and we'll call this one, we'll call it portal. Okay. And we don't need to see this. We want to make it a trigger because we're going to be flying through it. And let's give it maybe a scale of 2 in the y dimension and 2 in the x dimension. And let's make it thin, 0.001 in the z dimension. Raise it up a little bit. And just for fun, let's also create a material so we can differentiate it from our plane a little bit. Okay, we'll call this portal mat. All right, and let's make it maybe a nice blue color. Yeah, blue portal. Yeah, it's always good to have a blue portal. So there we go. Everything is pretty much as it should be. Let's just double check that we're going to be hitting it. Oh, actually, before we do this, we're going to be changing scenes. So I want to actually name this scene something. So I'm going to call it. Let's go to scenes. We'll call this one scene 1. Okay, and in a bit we're going to create scene 2, which will be the scene that we're going to move to. We don't need the sample scene anymore, so I'll command delete that and get rid of it. Okay, but now let's put on our portal, let's put a script that will have our trigger on it, okay? So let's go down here, create a new script. We'll call it portal trig. Yeah. Portal trig. Yeah, I even call it the right name, I think. All right. And it's on our portal. Let's edit that script. And let's just make sure that we're on the same page with our code. We'll double check to make sure that it's working. Let's go into the script and we'll just add a simple print statement so that we can be sure it's happening. Here we go. So we're going to go down here and we'll say void on trigger enter. And we'll just say debug.log coronavirus. Okay. Yeah, that seems appropriate. All right. Now, we want to have our observer trigger that. Of course, we have to do some things to the observer too. In particular, what we have to do is add some physics to it. We have to make it a rigid body, right? We don't want it to use gravity because otherwise we'll fall through the earth and, you know, life won't be good. And the next thing we want to do is add a collider to it. Let's just make it a box collider, okay? So we've got our stuff there. Let's make sure this is going to work. Let's hit play. And let's fly through our thing. Let's turn on our console so we can see our message. And as we go, yay, coronavirus, yay. Okay, so our trigger is in fact working. What we want to do is trigger a scene change. All right. To trigger a scene change, we actually need another scene that we're going to go to. So let's create a new scene. Okay. And let's call this scene, okay, let's save it as, go to our scenes, and let's be really, really sort of creative, and we'll call this scene 2, okay? There we go. So in scenes now we have scene 1 and scene 2, all right? And now let's make scene 2, let's do something that we know we're here. We're going to make it really simple. We're just going to put a sphere here so that when we enter scene 2, all we're going to see is a sphere. We're not going to put any movement in there, any observer or anything like that. We're just going to go to a scene. All right. Now, let's go back to our portal trig script because that's where we're going to negotiate our scene changing. And the first thing we have to do is we have to use Unity Engine with another thing called scene management because we're going to be managing some scenes. All right. Now, what happens is on trigger enter, we're going to do something called start coroutine. I'll explain all this in a second. And the coroutine we're going to start is called load async. We're making this up, by the way. Scene. And notice that it's not defined. It's underlined in red. That's because we're going to define this function. It's going to be of type IE numerator. And again, the thing that we're going to create here is load async scene. Okay. Let's put this down here. And this is where we're going to do some stuff. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an async operation. And we're going to call it async load. Oops. Async load. Okay, and we're going to make that equal to scene manager dot arg. This thing is going berserk here. Okay, dot load async scene, load scene async, and the scene we're going to load is scene 2. All right, like I said, I'm going to talk about this in a second. Okay, an async load dot, we're going to set a function, we're just going to set a variable here, async load dot allow scene activation. We're going to make that be true because we want it to activate. Then we're going to do this weird thing here. We're going to say yield return null. That's all there is to it. I got some spare dots down here that I need to get rid of, obviously. Okay, what's going on? Well, when we enter the trigger, we do this thing called starting a coroutine. Basically, that means it's something that's going to be running along with what we're currently running. So this update function is still going to work. All the things that we're doing in our current scene is still going to work. This load async scene is basically going to call this scene manager and load this scene up, but it's going to do it along with whatever else we're doing. Now, by setting this variable allow scene activation to be true, it's a Boolean type, as soon as that scene is completely loaded, it will then switch to that scene. If it's not completely loaded, then it yields and it returns, and that's what allows the update and everything to keep on happening. All right. So all this is going to do is as soon as we go through the trigger, it's going to start loading scene 2 in the background. Once that's fully loaded, we'll switch to it. So that should work. Now, got to warn you ahead of time, it's not going to work. Okay. But let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to switch to scene 1 now. So here we go. All right. I started out. I go, trigger. No scene change. Why didn't it change? Because I have to add the scenes to our build settings so that Unity knows which scenes we have, okay? And I'm going to add this scene.scene1, okay? And I'm also going to add scene.scene2, and I'm going to do that just by simply taking this and dragging it up there. Now at this point, if we were going to build a standalone application, you can build it here. We're going to talk about that later in the term. I don't want to do that, but I just want to, Unity needs to know that these are the scenes that are now in this thing, okay? So I'm going to stop that. I'm going to save it. Now when we go, I'm going to say, all right, go through, go through, go through, go through, go through, go. Whoa, there we are. It did it. So we changed our scene successfully. Let's do it one more time just because it was so much fun. Okay, let's rotate around. Should we go through that mystical blue portal? Yes, we should. And look, we're going to find a sphere. Yay. All right. Tell you what, just in the interest of trying to keep this sane, I think I'm going to stop this recording now, and then part 2 will be adding the sound to it, which is pretty trivial. Okay, so I'll stop it now.